Suddenly, she woke up and wondered what had happened. Toto put his cold little nose into her face and made a sad noise. Dorothy sat up and noticed that the house was not moving, nor was it dark, for bright sunshine came in at the window. She got up from her bed and, with Toto behind her, ran and opened the door. She was really surprised when she looked out. Her eyes grew bigger and bigger at the wonderful things she saw. The cyclone had put the house down very gently in the middle of a really beautiful country. It was very green, and there were lots of flowers, birds, and big fruit trees. Nearby, there was a small river rushing along some green fields. The little girl, who had lived for so long by gray cornfields, was very happy to see all this beauty. While she stood looking happily at the strange and beautiful sights, she noticed a group of the strangest people she had ever seen coming towards her. They were not as big as the older people she knew in Kansas, but neither were they very small. In fact, they seemed about as tall as Dorothy, and she was a tall child for her age. However, they looked a lot older. There were 3 men and a woman, and all were strangely dressed. They wore tall, round, pointed hats with little bells around the edges. The men's hats were blue. The little woman's hat was white, and she wore a white dress. The men were dressed in the same color blue as their hats and wore shiny boots. Dorothy thought the men looked about as old as Uncle Henry, but the little woman was certainly much older. When these people got near the house, they stopped, but the little old woman walked up to Dorothy, made a low bow, and said, "Welcome to the land of the Munchkins. We want to thank you for killing the wicked witch of the East and for making our people free." Dorothy listened to the speech with wonder. What could the little old woman possibly mean by saying she had killed the wicked witch of the East? Dorothy was a good little girl who had been carried by a cyclone many miles from her home, and she had never killed anything. But the little old woman certainly expected her to answer, so Dorothy said slowly, "You are very kind, but there must be some mistake. I have not killed anything." "Your house did," replied the little old woman. "And that is the same thing. Look," she continued, pointing to the corner of the house. "You can see her 2 toes under that piece of wood." Dorothy looked and gave a little cry of fear. There, indeed, just under the corner of the house, were 2 feet in silver shoes with pointed toes. "Oh dear, oh dear," cried Dorothy sadly. "The house must have fallen on her. Whatever shall we do?" "There is nothing to be done," said the little old woman. "But who was she?" asked Dorothy. "She was the wicked witch of the East, as I said," answered the little old woman. "The Munchkins have had to serve her for many years, but now they are all free, so they want to thank you." "Who are the Munchkins?" asked Dorothy. "They are the people who live in this land of the East, where the wicked witch ruled." "Are you a Munchkin?" asked Dorothy. "No, but I am their friend. I live in the land of the North. When they saw the wicked witch of the East had been killed, the Munchkins sent someone to tell me, and I came at once. I am the witch of the North." "Oh, cried Dorothy. "Are you a real witch?" "Yes, indeed," answered the little old woman. "But I am a good witch, and the people love me. I am not as powerful as the wicked witch was. If I was, I would have freed the Munchkins myself." "But I thought all witches were wicked," said the girl. She was a little bit afraid meeting a real witch. "Oh no, that is a great mistake. There are only 4 witches in the land of Oz, and 2 of them, who live in the north and the south, are good witches. I know this is true because I am one. Those who live in the west and east are wicked witches. But now that you have killed one of them, there is only one wicked witch in the land of Oz, the one who lives in the west." "But," said Dorothy after a moment's thought, "Aunt Em told me that all the witches had died." "Who is Aunt Em?" asked the little old woman. "She is my aunt, and she lives in Kansas, which is where I come from." The Witch of the North seemed to think for a time. Then she looked up and said, "I do not know where Kansas is, for I have never heard of it before. But tell me, is it a country where real people live?" "Oh, yes," replied Dorothy. "That explains it. I believe there are no witches left, nor wizards. But you see, we live in a different place. Therefore, we still have witches and wizards." "Who are the wizards?" asked Dorothy. "Oz is the great wizard," answered the witch very quietly. "He is more powerful than all the rest of us. He lives in the City of Emeralds." Dorothy was going to ask another question, but just then the Munchkins gave a loud shout and pointed to the corner of the house where the Wicked Witch had been. "What is it?" asked the little old woman. The feet of the dead witch had completely disappeared, and nothing was left but her silver shoes. "She was so old," explained the Witch of the North, "that she dried up quickly in the sun. That is the end of her. But the silver shoes are yours, and you shall have them to wear." She reached down, picked up the shoes, and gave them to Dorothy. "The Witch of the East was proud of those silver shoes," said one of the Munchkins, "and they have special powers, but we don't know what they are." Dorothy carried the shoes into the house and put them on the table. Then she went out again and said, "I want to go back to my aunt and uncle because I'm sure they will worry about me. Can you help me find my way?" The Munchkins and the witch first looked at each other and then at Dorothy, then shook their heads.
"To the east, not far from here," said one, "there is a great desert, and no one who has tried to cross it has lived."
"It's the same in the south," said another, "for I have been there and seen it. The So is the country of the Quadlings."
"I am told," said the third man, "that it is the same in the west, and that country where the Winkies live is ruled by the Wicked Witch of the West. She would make you serve her if you passed her way."
"The north is my home," said the little old woman, "and it's the edge of the same great desert that goes round the land of Oz. I'm afraid, my dear, that you will have to live with us." Dorothy began to cry, for she felt lonely among these strange people. The little old woman took off her hat and counted. 1, 2, 3, she said. At once the hat changed into a notice board on which was written,
"Let Dorothy go to the City of Emeralds."
Then she asked,
Is your name Dorothy?
"Yes," answered the child.
Then you must go to the City of Emeralds. Perhaps Oz will help you.
"Where is this city?" asked Dorothy.
It is in the center of the country, and it is ruled by Oz, the great wizard.
"Is he a good man?" asked the girl.
He is a good wizard. I don't know if he is a man or not, because I have never seen him."
"How can I get there?" asked Dorothy.
You must walk. It is a long journey through a country that is sometimes pleasant, but at other times is dark and terrible. However, I will use all my special powers to keep you safe."
"Wouldn't you go with me?" asked the girl, who had decided the little old woman was her only friend.
"No, I cannot do that," she replied, "but I will kiss you. No one will do anything to a person who has been kissed by the Witch of the North."
She came close to Dorothy and kissed her gently on her head. Where her mouth touched the girl, it left a round, shining mark.
"The road to the City of Emeralds is made of yellow brick," said the witch, "so you cannot miss it. When you go to Oz, do not be afraid. Tell him your story and ask his help. Goodbye, my dear."
The 3 Munchkins bowed low to her and wished her a pleasant journey. The witch smiled at Dorothy in a friendly way and then suddenly disappeared. But Dorothy, knowing that she was a witch, had expected her to disappear suddenly, so she was not at all surprised.